Hey guys, Dustin here. Welcome to another episode of Horroritis. So, in anticipation of the Ash vs. Evil Dead TV series coming out in October, I give you part 2 of my 3-part series on Evil Dead, remake not included. Now, there's a bit of disagreement about this video. Is it a sequel? Is it a remake? And if you came here for that video, this isn't it. Sorry. If you truly want that video, I'll be more than happy to do it. I can argue both sides, and I occasionally do. This video, like all the others, is to remind us why we love this particular movie, and maybe to show some new viewers why this movie's worth watching. So, let's get to it. The movie opens with a quick prologue explaining the Book of the Dead, what it is, what it does, where it's from, and then we see Ash and Linda driving down a deserted road. Then we see them crossing a bridge, and then we see them in a cabin. Ash is playing the piano like he's in an Old Spice commercial.
And I'm hungry like the wolf.
And Linda's dancing. Or spinning. Or whatever. Ash grabs her and we get a look at her necklace, which looks like a magnifying glass. He pulls her in to kiss her and she refuses, saying that she feels weird being in someone else's cabin. Ash goes to grab some champagne to try to lighten the mood a little bit, and he finds a tape recorder, and a book, and a dagger. Ash plays the recording and learns that the owner of the cabin found the Book of the Dead during an excavation and translated it. Ash listens to the translation, and we see an entity moving through the woods. Inside the cabin, we hear a crash and a scream. Ash goes to check on Linda, but all he finds is a shattered window and no Linda. So he runs outside to look for her. When he finds her, she's already possessed and she attacks him. In the struggle, he cuts her head off with a shovel and then buries her. That escalated pretty quickly. After he buries her, we see the entity once again moving through the woods. It goes through the back door of the cabin, bursts out the front door, and smacks right into Ash. Now, if a lot of this seems familiar, it is. And here's why. It's generally argued that the first 7 minutes of this movie, and yes, all that did happen in 7 minutes, it's argued that it's all just a recap of the first movie. It's said that Sam Raimi couldn't get the rights to the original footage, so he just reshot the most important parts, leaving out all the extra characters except Ash and Linda, most likely for the sake of the budget. So when the entity collides with Ash, like in the end of the first movie, the recap ends and this movie actually starts. There's another argument that says this is the movie Sam Raimi would have made if he had had the budget the first time around. Beyond that, there's more arguments, some of them involving alternate timelines and clones of Ash. I mean, there's plenty of arguments about this out there. I mean, the internet is full of arguments. And while there are valid and interesting points on each side, for the sake of this video, we're going to go with the sequel theory. Feel free to light up the comments below with your dismay. There are 2 major things that I want to cover with this video. First is the shift in tone from the first movie to the second movie, and the second is the shift in Ash from the first movie to the second movie. Let me explain. The first movie, for the most part, was a serious attempt at a horror movie. Now, it had some over-the-top gore, and it ventured into campy on more than a few occasions, but for the most part, it was a serious horror movie. Now this one turns up the gore and it turns up the camp, and it actually ventures into the slapstick end of the spectrum. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, because it's not. It actually makes for a really fun movie. Like when the entity chases Ash through the cabin. The entity breaks a door, then Ash breaks a door, then it chases him through the space between the walls, and then Ash ducks out of sight, and the entity can't find him, and so it just gives up and leaves. whole scene is one big long shot, and it's very fun to watch. When Linda attacks Ash through the window, when Ash takes Linda's head to the work shed, pretty much any interaction between Ash and the possessed hand. The eyeball. The scene where everyone follows the noise. And a flying Ted Raimi in a fat suit. Now these are all good examples of not only how campy the movie got, but really how good of a physical actor Bruce Campbell is. While we're talking about Bruce Campbell, let's move into how Ash has changed. In the first movie, Ash was, for lack of a better term, ineffectual. He didn't say much, he stayed in the background, and he didn't assume his hero role until everybody else was dead and he had no choice. In this movie, he jumps into the action right away. But since this movie is supposed to have picked up where the first movie left off, he's already had an entire movie to grow a pair. He also starts using one-liners and quips in this movie, and in the recap, he's already more suave than he was in the first movie.
Hey, what do you say we have some champagne, huh, baby? Huh?
Sure.
Okay, maybe suave was the wrong word. In this movie, Ash gets possessed. Twice. When his hand becomes possessed, he cuts it off with a chainsaw. Then he alters that chainsaw to fit over his freshly stumped hand. This is also the first time he says his most quoted line.
Groovy.
And did you see Freddy's glove from Nightmare on Elm Street? Wes Craven actually lent that to Sam Raimi for the few shots that it's actually in. Ash ventures down into the cellar to get the lost pages to banish the evil. Then he dismembers Fat Suit Ted Raimi. He slips in and out of insanity for a small chunk of the movie while he's locked in the cabin by himself. In the end, when he's sucked into a portal that takes him back to 1300 AD, he learns that he's the hero of prophecy who's supposed to vanquish the evil.
Hail he who has come from the skies to deliver us from the terrors of the Deadites! Hail! 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 No!
I'd say he's come quite a long way since the Ash of the first movie. So that's it, Evil Dead 2. You can really see how far Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell have become as a filmmaker and an actor in just from the first movie to the second movie. And that actually becomes more apparent from the second movie to the third movie, which will be coming in a couple weeks. If you haven't seen it, I strongly urge you to go see it. Even if you skip the first one, this one is definitely worth watching. And if you have seen it,
Groovy.
go watch it again. So that's it for this video. If you liked it, hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe button because I've got more videos coming. If you want to get a hold of me personally, you can do it in the comments below, or you can hit me up on Facebook or Twitter, both at The Horroritis. If you want to help support this channel and help it grow, please consider going to patreon.com/horroritis, and there you can leave a donation. Any amount for any period of time, it's completely up to you. Anything from there goes right back into the channel to help improve quality and maybe add a couple features here and there. So until next time, I'm Dustin, this was Horroritis. Thanks for watching.